order. It's the regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Cottonwood, Arizona, held November 1st, 2016 at 6 p.m. at the Council Chambers Building. City Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Allen?
Here.
Councilmember Howdigy?
Here.
Councilmember Norman?
Here.
Councilmember Pratt?
Here.
Vice Mayor Pfeiffer?
Here.
Mayor Jones?
Here. The next item is Pledge of Allegiance. Vice Mayor, do you want to lead the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all. Okay, the next item is a brief summary of current events by Mayor, City Council, and/or City Manager. The public body does not propose, discuss, deliberate, or take legal action on any matter brought up during this summary unless the specific matter is properly noticed for legal action. Mr. Bartosh.
Madam Mayor, council members, the only announcement I have is just that Walk It on Main is coming up on November 12th here in Old Town. So anybody who's interested in coming out and seeing the art, listening to the blues, and trying some wine is encouraged to come out.
All right.
That's it, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Pratt?
I just did want to remind the community that registration is currently going on at Yavapai College for the spring semester. And the college is really trying to reach out to the community. We have some events going on. One of them starts tomorrow, and it is also on Thursday and Friday. It's a health symposium. You'll see these larger versions of these posted around town, but I have some copies here. And it looks like there's some really interesting presentations. On Saturday night, a unique version of Hamlet will be performed at the college in the pavilion. And then on November 15th, we're having a free welcome to the community. Come on up, free barbecue, faculty, staff, advisors will be there. And we really want the community to come up and get involved in our campus. So we welcome you and invite you and hope you can make it. And again, I have little flyers on that here for anyone who's interested.
Do you want to, shall we put some out there so they can pick them up if you would like?
Put them on the table?
Yes, in case
Thanks.
anybody wants to get one. And I really hope that the community will attend these events. The college is working very hard to, I know that they left an activity schedule, a calendar of activities on my desk, and I asked that it be, there were two, a small one and a large one, that they be posted at the rec center and the library. But just a lot of activities that the college is bringing, and so I hope the community does attend them, and they're great events.
That's the feeling some of us have. And yeah, there's been concerns about the college, but we are reaching out to the Verde Valley.
Absolutely.
And we really would like community support.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Diane.
And I just would let the council and public know that I believe it was a Friday night that I attended a going away event for Officer Watson?
Yes,
Officer Matt Watson. I knew it was Matt, but I wasn't sure what rank he was. But he is going on his 4th tour of duty. He is in the Army, I guess, Army Reserves or Army National Guard.
I'm not sure.
Okay, but anyway, he's leaving this week for another tour of duty in Afghanistan. So the community was invited, and it was, it was kind of a sad event, I thought. And a lot of tears, but somehow Matt, he didn't shed any tears. I don't know how you could be so strong to have all those buckets of tears being cried and stay so stoic, but I do think that we all appreciate his service, and I would just like to thank the city manager and the chief of police for working, because it does impact the city and you, the police department, when someone does go serve. So we like to just share our appreciation to all of you, but especially to Officer Watson.
He'll be missed.
He will be. He's just, I mean, he just does so much in the community, like with the kids and 4-H and the fair and our school resource officer. He's just always, he works with his wife Brenda with the Mingus cheerleaders, and, you know, they're all going to miss him a lot too. So we do appreciate his service and his dedication to our freedom, because we all know freedom isn't free. Okay, so the next item is awards, the most fun part of the council meeting. Okay, EYES employees yielding effective safe, EYES, which stands for Employees Yielding Effective Safety. Quarterly award is A.J. Purington, firefighter, and Chief Kirkendall will come up and share with us why he was nominated and received this award, and introduce him, as the council hasn't met him yet.
Yes, AJ. A couple of things have happened, and I'm going to take the opportunity tonight to introduce our newest firefighter, AJ Purington, with us. He did not get an opportunity to be introduced in March 1st because he was in a paramedic class that had him in Apache Junction every Tuesday. And so he was not getting up here in time to be introduced to council. So first, I'll introduce to you our newest firefighter, AJ Purington. His wife Tara is here with him tonight. He came to us from Payson Fire Department, where he was full-time employed with them for about a year to a year and a half or so, and had also served then as a reserve firefighter here in the Verde Valley with other agencies that we won't name. And we're happy to have him with us. And do you like to say something to council? And the reason AJ had put into the EYES, for the EYES Award, and doing some work for us. He is also a journeyman electrician. His family is in the electrical business here in town. You've probably seen the name. He's a journeyman electrician. He was doing some work for us as we did some remodel things in our gym area. And in that, as he was checking some power, he found we had some real surge problems, and found out that we had a surge protector that had probably been hit by lightning, or something had caused it to go bad, and was actually causing fluctuations in the power. And by finding it, may have saved us even from more electrical problems or even a fire, which we certainly wouldn't want to have in a Payson fire station. So it was
Right.
a good thing, and his talents and his expertise paid off greatly for us. And that, and more, plus we're also just very pleased to have him with us and bringing his talents. The expertise he brings in electrical is a wonderful thing for us, as you can imagine, in the fire service. Plus, he's just an all-around really good guy. I didn't finish up the one thing. He did complete his paramedic class. He is now a certified paramedic.
Congratulations.
So,
That's wonderful.
that's pretty much it.
Okay, so, Vice Mayor, you're on the committee, aren't you? Are you on that committee? The other one, okay. So if you would come up, and Captain Wills too, are you?
Yes, please bring up that. His
And
captain,
of course, the
Wills,
city
here.
manager who signs these, so.
They usually prefer that.
If you want to just go a little bit farther.
I was going to say.
She's certainly welcome, bring her.
Sure, you're welcome.
Okay. So on behalf of the city council, my colleagues, we would like to give you this, and of course signed by your city manager, who does the day-to-day operations of the city, who manages you. So also Chief Kirkendall, and your captain, Mr. Wills, and city manager received you. So thank you for what you did for the city. That's awesome. She gets to give it. So, any words of wisdom? Well, you have to speak up because we don't have a microphone.
I was just glad I was able to figure out the problem and help the town.
Well, thank you. Sounds like your skills of multitasking are much welcome.
Well, my dad taught me a lot of life at home. I'm very grateful for that.
Absolutely helps. My dad was an electrician also. Yeah. But he didn't teach me. I know how to plug it in. Thank you very much. You're welcome.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Good job in that paramedic class. It's tough. You're welcome.
Pleasure meeting you.
The next item is call to the public.
No,
Whoops. No?
no, you're wrong. The next item is.
Oh,
Anna,
I
you can
tried to
introduce
skip
it.
it.
Past
Go
that.
ahead. The next item is a certificate of appreciation from the Northern Arizona Council of Governments, alias NACOG, to Diane Jones for dedicated service. And would you like to get up and say a few things about what you've done with NACOG over these many, many years?
Well, I don't have to go down there. I can just share it from here. I've worked on NACOG different times over the years, but my favorite time was actually even before I served on NACOG when Tim Costello was our city engineer. And there was, I think it was Aspen Street, but anyway, the money being divided up for the streets and the roads, something got changed. And Tim was the only person, we were the only city that was ready to jump in and grab that money and build our road. So NACOG is very, very important as far as roads go. It's important as far as elder health care. I was just shared, they just shared with me that because of the state's budget, that the waiting list to help our elderly is just growing. It is just unbearably getting long, and there's just no money coming forth from the state to assist with these elderlies day to day. And you know, if you can keep an elderly person home, you actually save a lot of tax dollars, because it costs a lot more to institutionalize them in a home to help them. So hopefully the state's budget will be better. We have economic development that has happened. Casey was at the last meeting to present what the council heard. A couple $1 million that we're asking for to do some more upgrades in Old Town. So that was passed by the council. There's just a lot of very important things that happen. So it's very important that whoever is appointed by the council attend the meetings and not miss, or let your alternate know if you can't attend, because you miss one and a lot of stuff could happen, like a street. So,
Well, I'm going to put the shoes on the other foot and ask the council and city manager to come up to the front with you so we can present you.
okay.
It reads, NACOG Certificate of Appreciation is hereby granted to Diane Jones for dedicated service and lasting contributions to the NACOG Regional Council. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And thank you, City Council. I appreciate it.
Oops, sorry. Now you can have the
Good
mic.
work, Diane.
Okay,
Or good work, Mayor.
thank you. Now is the call to the public. This portion of the agenda is set aside for the public to address the council regarding an item that is not listed on the agenda for discussion. However, the council cannot engage in discussion regarding any item that is not officially listed on the agenda for discussion and/or action. Comments are limited to a 5-minute time period. And no one has submitted a form, but you still, if you would like to, floor is open to the public. Okay, we'll close the floor to the public and remove to the approval of the minutes. And I would like us to consider approving the special meeting of October 18th, but the regular meeting needs a little bit more work, so I want to table that one. So I would entertain a motion for the special meeting of October 18th.
I move to approve the special meeting of October 18th, 2016.
Second.
Okay. The Vice Mayor seconded it, and Ms. Norman made the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, new business. The following items are for council discussion, consideration, and possible legal action. Item number 1 is request to waive Section 9.12.030 alcoholic beverages of the municipal code to allow the sale and consumption of beer during the Disking for Kids event scheduled for November 5th, 2016 at Riverfront Park. Item number 2 is special event liquor license application. Oops. Oh, wait, we didn't even have
We don't have
a consent
agenda.
this time. It's just like, boy, after 9 years of practice, you just can't change an old dog. Okay, this is new business, so one at a time. So item number 1.
Madam Mayor, Council, Ryan Bigelow, I'm a Recreation Supervisor of Cottonwood Parks and Rec. Item 1 is in regards to the 5th annual Cottonwood Fall Classic Disc Golf Tournament. That is this Saturday. It's going to be a 27-hole disc golf tournament. We've already got, thanks to Mr. Eddie Diaz, 108 players registered, so the tournament is completely sold out.
Awesome.
This is the second year we're working with Disking for Kids. It's a 501c3 run primarily out of Flagstaff, but he's also trying to come down into the Verde Valley and make some waves down here. Last year, this event was able to raise $1,000 for the Verde Valley Military Service Park. We try to theme this for the Veterans Day holiday, and the goal is to do the same again this year.
And that's wonderful.
And yeah, and that's a really good thing. So that's something that we're hoping to be able to achieve. Part of that fundraising enables us to do that would be beer sales at that Riverfront Park in the softball complex Field 4 parking lot area, essentially. So items 1 and 2 here are combined and essentially the same thing. But I'd like to introduce Mr. Eddie Diaz of Disking for Kids.
Thank you, Council. My name is Eddie Diaz, and I run the Disking for Kids program. We're based in Flagstaff. We cover northern Arizona. And as Ryan said, we were fortunate enough last year to be a part of the the Cottonwood Fall Classic. We had 90 participants. This year, as he said, we have 108 already registered. We're tapped out, unless you know me. But as far as the fundraising goes, what we do in Disking for Kids, I started with approximately 25 children, and I have, in the last 18 months, I've put a disc in over 2,500 kids' hands. Plus, at this point in time, we're involved with the Flagstaff Unified School District, where I go to every elementary school, get them off the computer because there's no internet required. And this here is a great way to do fundraising for us. This is not a kids event. As I've come down to your city before, and I did a kids event over at the youth center, where we brought the world champion amateur junior. We're bringing him back. Plus, we're bringing the #2 world champion female. And it's a way to grow the sport. And as I said, this is an adult event. That's why we're asking for the liquor license, so we can get fundraising. I have the roster here, and there's only 2 underage people that have registered for the tournament, one of them being Anthony Barella, the world champion. I'm not going to deny him a spot, and his friend Kobe Frampton, and that's the only 2 underage. I was able to verify everybody's age either through their PDGA number or through social media to be able to find their age to make sure everybody was of age. And we do this kind of like the Boys and Girls Club do the beer and wine tasting. That's why we're looking to get the sponsorship. We can get approved. It's awesome. And not only that, I also want to come back next year and do a 2-day event to get people staying in the hotels, eating your foods. Enough said.
Any questions or comments, council?
I just want to say, I think it's a great event. Supports the military service park, supports kids, like you said, gets them off the computers. It showcases Cottonwood once again and shows that we are an event city. We invite people here and we're friendly, and obviously it's going to have a positive effect on our economy as well.
Right, I know the Boys and Girls Club, they had it in Sedona, but when they had their wine tasting event, that was their largest. I think they made like $60,000 a year or something from that event. So.
One of these days.
One of these days, right.
Yes, ma'am.
I would entertain a motion if there, any comments from the public? I should definitely do that first. Okay, Mr. Pratt?
I move to approve a waiver of Municipal Code 9.12.030 for the sale and consumption of alcohol at Riverfront Park on Saturday, November 5th for the Disking for Kids fundraising program.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Pratt made the motion. Councilmember Allen seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, the next item is special event liquor license application submitted by Eddie M. Diaz, applicant for Disking for Kids, for an event scheduled for November 5th, 2016 at Riverfront Park. Any comments or questions? Ms. Jimenez, did you have you want to share any information with us on that?
No, this is the standard special event liquor license application that Mr. Diaz submitted for the event for
Okay.
that Saturday. Is it Saturday?
Nothing,
Yes,
nothing
ma'am.
out
This
of the
Saturday.
usual. All right,
For November 5th.
November 5th. Okay,
I'd like to
any
make the
comments from the public? And if not,
Public?
Mr. Happy,
Yes, I'd just like to make this motion.
please.
I move to recommend the approval of the special event liquor license application submitted by Mr. Eddie M. Diaz, applicant for Disking for Kids Incorporated, for an event scheduled for November 5th, 2016 at Riverfront Park.
Second.
Mr. Howdiggy made the motion, the vice mayor seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
I want to
Thank
thank
you
the
for your
council.
work for our children.
We'll be back with a check donating it. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. All right, great. All right, the next item is item number 3, ordinance number 622. It's the first reading. Amending the zoning map of the city of Cottonwood, Arizona for 5 parcels of land totaling approximately 100.83 acres located east of the intersection of Groseta Ranch Road and State Route 89A. APN 4063208P, 406230336V, 406320336W, 4063217.4B, and 4063217.4C, so as to change certain district boundaries and classifications thereof from the present zoning of PAD, a planned area development, as approved per ordinance number 408 on November 20th, 2001, to an alternate PAD zone first reading. And Mr. Bartosh or Mr. Scully, if you could introduce the members of the team you've been working with. I've heard names, but I don't have any way to match faces to names.
You're speaking about the applicants?
Yes. If you just all come up and introduce yourselves, that would be great. So,
Michael Foster, I'm project coordinator.
Clark Pettit, one of the managing members of Granite Mountain Asset Management and the Vineyards.
okay.
Swayze McRain, I'm manager of the GM G-Man and the Vineyards.
Thank you.
KJ Kassoon, also a managing member of Granite Mountain Asset Management and the Vineyards.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you. Oh, you know what? One thing before we start, I forgot something really important. We want to say happy birthday to Doug Bartosh on November 4th because he won't be here. Happy birthday to you. All right. Little out of order, sorry about that. We understand. But better than the alternative, right?
Okay, thank you. Madam Mayor, council members, this is the first reading of Ordinance 622, changing the zoning for the PAD, Planned Area Development, for the Vineyards at Cottonwood project. It's a 555-unit master plan community located east of the State Route 89A in the intersection of the roundabout of Crescetta Ranch Road, on property that's a little over 100 acres. And I have a little PowerPoint to go along with this. This was the applicants held a neighborhood meeting in May of this year at the On the Greens Clubhouse. It was attended by approximately 50 people, and they had comments and discussion. That's a required part of the process for rezoning. The Planning and Zoning Commission held a public hearing at their meeting in July where they discussed the project in detail. There were members of the public there, but nobody chose to speak there, I think because they had opportunities at the neighborhood meeting. The City Council considered this meeting at your work session in September. As you remember, a couple months ago. And we went through the presentation in greater detail. I have a streamlined presentation here now just to look at some of the maps and go over the details again. But this would be the first reading, and then followed up by, of course, at the next meeting would be the second and final that would adopt their rezoning.
Well, I would just add, council may adopt the ordinance in 2 weeks without having its own public hearing unless either the applicant or a member of the public or a member of the council requests that there be a public hearing. But right now, I think staff is planning on scheduling it without the public hearing.
There's the property has 5 parcels that would be rezoned. They're shown here on the map. They have property boundaries. They're to the north is the On the Greens and Pine Shadows project. To the east is Vineyards, or is I know what it's called. It's called Verde Heights. It's been there quite a few years, been there for almost 60 years. And then to the west is mainly the town of Clarkdale, immediately west, and then some vacant commercial property in Cottonwood. Part of the history of this zoning was in 2001, there was the Crescetta Ranch Master Plan that was zoned PAD, Planned Area Development. That was a 144-acre project. It had 65 acres of commercial, mainly along the highway, with multi-unit residential on 35 acres would be potentially apartment complexes, which would potentially have over 500 units of residential and 65 acres of commercial, and then it also had on the corner a shopping center with a grocery store. That part is not included in this project. That was when the highway was just a 2-lane road without the divided highway or the roundabouts. And so they had 4 full intersections, 2 new signalized intersections, about 5 other driveways. It had about 10 or 11 access points. The current project is to 100 acres, and it's got 68 acres of mixed residential, that being single family and townhouses and condos, a small amount of commercial on a clubhouse in the center of the site, and 30 acres of open space, mainly the natural drainage areas. So it's a different configuration, and therefore it really needs a new zoning. It goes from PAD zoning to PAD. It's unusual, but in the planned area development zoning, every case is unique, and so it's subject to the ordinance. This was a 15-year-old approval. This is being changed now for a smaller lot with a different mix of uses and a completely different access pattern. So it's appropriate to have a new zoning ordinance. The master plan for the site has 9 proposed phases. The first phase would have 41 units, and then as the market responded to it, they would build out. It could take as long as 10 years or sooner if they sell houses quicker. This is just where the first phase would be, just immediately to the left as you come in from the highway at Grisetta Ranch Road, 41 units of single-family residential. As part of the PAD zoning, projects have a master development plan which gets approved as part of the ordinance, which lays out the framework for what's being proposed, the land uses, any special or unique conditions, as well as what it looks like and what the design review of the buildings. As part of this master development plan, they've proposed a series of a style of building based on the craftsman style of architecture. It's an older style. This is using contemporary building materials and techniques, but it carries on with many of the features that you'd find in that craftsman style. And there's a number of examples I can just go through. It's adaptable to different types of buildings, from apartments to townhomes to single family. So as the project builds out, it would have a unified style to go with it, and it's somewhat unique. And it just shows how there's some different sizes and would apply to different income levels from 1,000 square feet up to 1,800 square feet. They'd have garages, and there's nice, all these buildings seem to have usable porches that people can sit on the front porch. So there's that aspect. There's also an eightplex condominium is proposed as well, and that fits this, shows how the style of the craftsman style can be adaptable to it. See the potential for a clubhouse with some commercial use at a later date. It's located generally in the center of the development there. These are just some features showing the front entry, and there's also one of the issues that came up is because the housing is along the state highway, but it's at a slightly lower elevation than the road. If we if we had them build a solid wall, like a masonry wall, it would have to be quite tall to block out noise or visibility, but it really wouldn't work as well because it's slightly below the elevation, and it would seem like a big object that's along the roadway. So instead, there's a hedge that grows fairly tall, and it grows here. It's on our plant list as appropriate. It's a Photinia hedge, and it potentially grows size 10 feet. It forms a solid hedge, and that would be proposed along those places between the highway. But there's a fairly wide open space there as well. So it would be that instead of a block wall that wouldn't be very attractive, it would now be a tall hedge. And this just shows how they've worked out some of the details for phase one that we looked at in the preliminary plat phase for the landscaping and trails. And some more details for how the walking pathways and trails will be worked out with the landscaping. So, have a general layout of where the walking paths will go through. There's natural drainages that are coming off both the FEMA floodplain at the north, and then there's large culverts draining from across to the west from the, and those would be preserved and integrated into the site plan in a way that many of the homes back up to open space. Attractive feature. And then this is just the site plan again. And in addition to doing the rezoning, the next phase of the process is to do the subdivision platting process, starting with the preliminary plat, going to Planning and Zoning Commission. That's a point at which details will get worked out. If there's things that seem like they're missing, like what exactly happens around a commercial center or condominiums or townhouses, those will come back in this process. It'll be talked about in the master development plan, but it'll be required to go back to Planning and Zoning Commission to review and approve those details of those places before the subdivision in each phase. At each phase, they'll come back to work out the details, and that's we'll cover that. So it's an option to do that up front as part of the master development plan and work out every detail in a project, but the zoning ordinance allows you to phase that and to separate that out. And that seemed like an appropriate thing to do, so.
And there will be lots of opportunities for the public to comment in those meetings.
Those will be public hearings, both like for the subdivision plat, but also design review if you're dealing with the multi-unit residential or a commercial use or any other kind of public or amenities that are there. So that is the basics of what's being proposed here tonight, is to have the first reading of this ordinance that sets up a framework with the types of uses, the layout, and the buildings look like, and sets it up for future opportunity to have the details looked at as the phasing.
Mr. Pratt, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was just going to say we did have a fairly detailed presentation of this in September, and I do believe the council was unanimous in saying, yes, let's go forward with this. And I think, again, it just shows how good the city is at working with developers and how good the developers have been at working with the city and, you know, answering our requests. And so I just think it's a great thing for the community, and I think it just shows the collaboration. And again, I think we did unanimously say go forward with it.
And Madam Mayor and Council, there is not anything close to a complete absence of detail. You'll note in your packets there's 37, I think, separate stipulations attached to the rezoning. There'll be additional stipulations and a development agreement and other things that flesh that out, but those are there.
Any other questions or comments from council members?
I like it.
It goes with the city's branding and what we're trying to build.
It's a good project.
It is a good project. Okay, I'd open the floor to members of the public who would like to discuss this or make comments on this item. If there's no one from the public that would like to speak, we'll close the floor to the public, and I would entertain, oh, it's a first reading, as I said. So, okay, the next item is award of contract and approval of a professional services agreement with
Madam Mayor? Need to
Oh,
have the
ordinance
read.
reading. Okay, you guys never let me skip any important steps. Thank you. Okay,
Well,
city clerk.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude. You sometimes see if the applicant wants to.
Oh, well, that would, yes, okay, sorry about that. After I had you all introduce yourselves, I didn't give you an opportunity to comment. If you would like to comment about the project, we would love to hear any comments you have.
I just wanted to say we appreciate the positive comments. We feel likewise. We think it's going to be a great project, and we appreciate the council's time and consideration and the support from the staff.
Thank you. Any other members of the team wish to speak? Okay, so I would entertain a motion. Can you read it?
Just the first reading, Madam Mayor.
It's not even late yet.
No, it's not. But it's almost November 21st. City Clerk, please again read the ordinance number 622 by title only.
Ordinance number 622, amending the zoning map of the city of Cottonwood, Arizona for 5 parcels of land totaling approximately 100.83 acres located east of the intersection of Groseta Ranch Road and State Route 89A, APN number 40632-080P, 40623-036V, 40632-036W, 40632-174B, and 40632-174C, so as to change certain district boundaries and classifications thereof from the present zoning of PAD, Planned Area Development, as approved per ordinance number 408 on November 20th, 2001, to an alternative PAD zone. First reading. Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Got her done. Item number 4 is award of contract and approval of a professional services agreement with Southwestern Environmental Consultants, Inc., to design the Mingus Avenue Improvement Project from 8th Street to Main Street.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Council's very aware that Mingus Avenue is now our busiest city street, busier than Main Street. It has been ever since the construction of what's been called the Mingus Extension, from basically Cornville Road all the way to Main Street. That portion of Mingus Avenue was actually a joint project between the city of Cottonwood and the county, and it's where we built the bridge that now it's only the second bridge that spans the Verde River in Cottonwood, which is one of the reasons that Mingus Avenue is so busy. Also, one of the other reasons Mingus is so busy is it's also a parallel to State Route 260. So the two ways to get out to I-17 are 260 and Mingus Avenue. The good news is, after this portion of the project, Mingus Avenue will be completely constructed within city limits. As I said earlier, from the east city limits to Main Street was constructed in the early 2000s between the city and the county. From the west city limits to basically the airport, or 89A, was constructed by private development, 2 private developments on the west side of the city. The city found the funding for 89A to Willard, basically the roundabout to the Maverick gas station. You all remember that portion was probably the portion that needed it the most. That was at the time one of the worst portions of one of the worst city streets we had, and now it's something we can all be proud of. The next portion from the Willard roundabout to 8th Street is going to be constructed with federal funds and federal and local funds. That project is finishing up. In fact, the design is complete. We're now acquiring easements, and we'll move forward with that design next summer, or that construction next summer. So this portion, the final portion from 8th Street to Main Street, is the final portion to complete the entire road from west city limits to east city limits. A lot of people ask, where's 8th Street? Because actually 8th Street, although we have an 8th Street alignment, there is no actual street there. So It is the 8th Street wash, so that's why there's a little bit of confusion. Just for everyone's clarification and anyone in the public, the 8th Street wash is between the Aspen Ridge Apartments and the Casa del Sol condominium. So we're all talking about the same area. You'll know about where one project will end and where another project will begin. Many of you may remember originally we were going to construct this next portion from Willard to 10th Street, and we actually decided to cut that back in order to do the minimal amount possible with federal funds, because it's much more expensive to construct a project with federal funds. So we cut the scope of that back and we'll add it on to the next portion. The next portion, 8th to Main, will be entirely with local funds. We did do a competitive bid process, worked closely with our procurement department. SEC, Southwest Environment Consultants, a company based out of Cottonwood and Sedona, was selected, and we are recommending we move forward with them. The total for their design is $190,508. The base is actually $125,904, and the base design, as you can imagine, is actually a relatively simple design. We're going to put back a 3-lane road, what's there today, obviously with curb, gutter, sidewalk, bike lanes, and that portion of the design is not that complicated of a design. Like we said, we're going to put back what's there, we're going to study base materials and make sure our new proposed asphalt section and base section is going to stand up to every predicted future vehicle we're going to have. So that portion of the design is not incredibly complicated. It's actually the other two portions of the design that added up to a little bit higher than we expected, and that is the drainage. Many of you know there's a roadside ditch from 12th Street to Main Street. It's significantly undersized, and we want to expand the road. Looking into what we do with that ditch is going to get a little bit expensive, so we'll look at everything from undergrounding it to leaving a potential roadside ditch, which is the less expensive option, to a few other options we have in mind. But that's the $48,000 you'll see in option number 1. Option number 2 is the traffic analysis, and we are recommending we move forward with the traffic analysis. The reason is we want to make sure we're designing this road and we're not going to be redesigning it in 10 or 15 years. Let's make sure it's going to handle all predicted traffic. So staff's recommendation is we move forward with the full design for the $190,508. Any questions?
Any questions, council? Anyone out in the audience?
And that is a not to exceed amount.
It's what?
It's the amounts Morgan's talking about are paid if they're earned and billed. That's not a sum certain, so it could be less.
Okay.
Thank you, Steve.
Anyone out in the audience have any questions? It's all yours, Diane.
Make a motion?
Sure.
Please. I move to award the contract for the Mingus Avenue design, 8th Street to Main Street to Southwestern Environmental Consultants Incorporated.
Second.
Ms. Allen made the motion and Mr. Pratt seconded it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Claims and adjustments.
Move we pay the claims.
Second.
The Vice Mayor made the motion and Councilmember Norman seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. I move to
Madam
adjourn.
Mayor?
Oh, yes.
Before you adjourn, I thought it was appropriate, since you recognized my birthday, that you should recognize Mr. Horton's birthday as well.
And when is
It was
that?
last night.
Oh.
Should
hey.
help to explain a lot of things about Mr.
Halloween boy.
My sister's birthday.
Halloween baby.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank
I
you.
hope it was good. So you get to trick or treat on every birthday.
Yeah, I need the sugar.
And I know how old you are because you went to school with my brother.
In Connecticut.
Yes.
Is it such a small world? Okay, so all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Who was the second on that motion?
Did you second it? Yeah. Okay.
I'm looking around for who did that.